Hi, guys. Welcome back for another week. I hope the sound's pretty good. We have someone, I think, working on the street. It sounds like a jackhammer out there. But anyhow, we'll get some folks into the room, and we have a considerable number of announcements. We have a question of the day that I think is maybe a little more challenging than most of the questions of the day that we've had. So we got some pretty good stuff that's going on. And now we have folks beginning to come into the room. So who's first in? Okay. Well, we'll wait for the crowd to gather. About another minute until class begins. I hope you had a good weekend. It seems like the world is slowly beginning to reopen. Um, I guess Memorial Day weekend this weekend is going to be kind of subdued, but still, I think we're moving in the right direction. Okay, just a little bit more, and then we'll be underway. Okay, with no further ado, I declare it 10:45 and class has begun. All right, first thing is there was a media panel that was presented by Career Education last week at Glendale College. They had a Zoom presentation. Oh, hello, Hannah. Anyhow, with that career panel, I made it available to you for extra credit. Oh, good morning, Hidden. Anyhow, the assignment that was attached to that career panel last week, it's due today. Now, if you didn't go to the panel and you didn't do the assignment, there's two reasons why you should not stress out. Reason number one is it wasn't required; it was extra. Reason number two is that career education is doing a second panel that also focuses on media professions. So, particularly for those of you who want to be a graphic designer or a professional photographer, you might want to go to this panel that is coming up this week. It is going to be on Thursday at 6 p.m. And the panel will be two professional photographers and a graphic artist who works for Glendale College's information office, public information office. Now, if you go to that panel this Thursday, I will give you the same offer that I gave for the panel last week. If you go to it, you listen in, you write a 300-word more or less summary of the panel, I'll have a place where you can turn it in online and you'll get 5 points of extra credit. So, especially if you're interested in the graphics part of media, photography, or graphic arts, the particulars about this panel are in an announcement on the announcement section on Canvas for this course. All right, other things going on. Fall registration has begun. Only a few students are registering at the moment because it's priority registration. What I recommend is that you look at your registration appointment, the day that you can register. And part B of that is I recommend that you sign up for classes as soon as possible. And here's the reason why. When we go into an economic recession, that usually means more people wanting to take community college classes. So in recessions, demand goes up. But also in recessions, because it's a tough economic time, budgets for community colleges go down. So what you get, and I think we're going to have this in the fall, is we're going to have more students then we have classes available. Therefore, as a continuing student, you'll be able to register, fairly soon. So I recommend you register as soon as you can so that you can get as good a selection of classes as possible. Andrew, hello, and Jens, good morning. Next announcement. If you or you know somebody who is an undocumented worker who lost their job due to coronavirus, state of California has financial assistance that is available. So in other words, folks who, because of their status, they would have fallen through the cracks. The federal system doesn't accommodate them. California has a program that provides some assistance. So if you know somebody in that category, an undocumented worker who recently lost their job because of COVID, go to the announcements section for this class, and there's information about that. Okay, Andrew. Okay, Andrew, you've already signed up. Good. Hope you didn't take up all the good classes. Other people need to register too. Well, speaking of registration and being in classes, not being in classes, this past weekend was the deadline for dropping a class. And what teachers are told is when you get to the drop deadline, you should take a look at your rosters and see if there are any students who have, lots of missing assignments. They're not participating. They haven't emailed you about a makeup plan or anything like that. The college recommends drop them. You're doing them a favor. So last Friday, I dropped a handful of students who were, as far as I could tell, not participating and not coming back. Now I'm looking at the names here in the chat box, and you guys are all the regulars. You're keeping up, so it doesn't affect you. But somebody in this class it probably did. All right. Next thing, supplemental instruction. As of about an hour ago, I wasn't sure if SI was going to happen this week or not. I had an email into Stephanie, and she has gave me a thumbs up. Stephanie is going to be doing her supplemental instruction this week on Discord as usual at 12:30 as usual. She is going to be going through both chapters 11 and 12. Chapter 11 is advertising. Chapter 12 is public relations. These are what they call the persuasive media. Propaganda, if you'd like another term for it. By the way, propaganda is going to figure into our question of the day in just a little bit. Next up, this is quiz week. Quiz number 3 is now active, and it'll stay up for you to take through Sunday. It covers chapters 9, 10, and 11. Those are the 3 chapters right after the midterm. They are television, internet, and advertising. It's multiple choice. You get several opportunities to take it, so it shouldn't be too hard to get a decent score. Just don't miss it. It's live this week. Next thing is that I had some students who emailed me. They were a little confused about field trip points. And what triggered them was that last week I went into the Canvas gradebook and gave you credit for the field trips that were canceled because of coronavirus. Well, we had 7 field trips this semester. 6 of them were canceled due to coronavirus. So it was 6 field trips at 5 points apiece. So for those students who, and that would be all of you, I gave you 30 points. Now, what you may have forgotten is that one of our field trips, March 11th, we went to a taping of America's Got Talent. And the students who went on that field trip, they got 10 additional points. Um, I give more points for TV tapings because they're long. And if anyone out there who's listening went to that America's Got Talent field trip, I'm sure you'll back me up on that. It was a fairly long afternoon and into the evening. Now, the second thing that students were a little concerned about, or at least a few were, was I had a couple of students say, "Hey, you gave me 30 points out of 40." In most cases, true, except the students who went to America's Got Talent would have gotten 40 out of 40. But the students who got 30 out of 40, a couple of them said, "Hey, wouldn't that hurt me? Because it's only 75% of the points available, and my percentage is currently higher than 75%. Okay, I can see where you'd think that. But realize I don't grade on percentages. I grade on point totals. And so when I gave you those 30 points, it got you 30 points closer to your goal. The reason why you're seeing a bunch of percentages in the Canvas grade book is that Canvas is just very percentage happy. And I can't figure out how to suppress all those percentages. So I just ignore the percentages and look at the point totals. And at least for this class, I recommend that you do the same. All right. Now we are on to the question of the day. The question of the day is about something that's very divisive. I don't think it's 50-50, but I don't know anyone who really loves wearing a mask. But there are some folks who, I guess, they see it as a terrible insult, or as a sign of weakness, or as a sign of totalitarianism, whatever you want to call it, to be asked to wear a mask when out in public during this crisis. And, I was thinking about this in light of going through the advertising chapter recently. Remember when you saw the 2 car ads? There was the car ad for the Chevy truck, and it didn't make the rational argument, hey, look at the steel in this truck. It'll hold up really well. It'll be rust resistant. You can put heavy things in the bed and it won't get dented. It didn't make an appeal like that. It made an emotional appeal. It told this little story that suggested that if you drive this truck, you are more likely to exhibit the rugged individualism of the iconic American cowboy. Now, in real life, does driving the right vehicle make you a cowboy? Well, I don't think so. Or think about the Range Rover ad, where it wasn't about, gosh, look at the quality of the leather on the seats. This is like, a $5,000 couch. This is, really, really the best quality leather. It doesn't make a rational argument like that. The Range Rover ad was all about the dogs bowing down in submission in front of the vehicle. It was tying the vehicle to leadership skills. And again, it's kind of ridiculous. No car is going to turn you into a leader. So, all right, let's apply that to masks. We have a certain percentage of the American population, maybe your uncle or you, I don't know, somebody, is resistant to wearing the mask. Think about what sort of emotional appeal you could make that could get them to wear a mask. Now, the key is don't think about it rationally. Don't think about, say, an ad or a public service message where you would say, look at these figures from the government where, we can flatten the curve this much more, but, if everybody wore a mask. The way you really sell things to people is to grab them by their emotions. So while you're thinking about how you would do that in your public service announcement or ad for masks, let me tell you about an ad that I saw recently. I watch an old movie channel on TV, and one of the advertisers on this channel is for the TAC flashlight. It's a flashlight, and if it was a rational ad, it would say, "Gee, look how bright this flashlight is, and how long the batteries last, and hey, you can drop it and it doesn't break." No. Instead, this ad portrays it as almost like military equipment. You have never seen a more macho flashlight than this flashlight. So, that's one example of how you could go in trying to sell masks, somehow macho masks. Or there's another ad that I see on the same channel, and it's for anti-glare glasses. It helps mostly for like older drivers when they're out at night and they're not blinded by the headlights of oncoming cars. And they sell this stuff through a sort of patriotic appeal. At one point in the ad, somebody puts on the glasses and they see an illustration of a screaming American eagle. And then the announcer says, "God bless America." Appeals to patriotism work too. Maybe there's some way we could tie the mask to that. Anyhow, let's see what's come in here, huh? Sleepy is saying, get them a custom mask in their design they want so they can get fun out of it. Sleepy, we have a lot of kind of like sub-communities, think about what causes and what organizations show up on your news feed or whatever you have on social media. Like for example, if I wanted to, I could get a Dodger mask. I could even get a Star Trek mask, but I figure in a Star Trek mask, I'd look even more like a geek. So I think I'll pass it, even though I really like Star Trek. So yeah, having a mask with the logo or emblem or what have you of organizations that you identify with. Yeah. Hannah is saying children have a higher chance of getting sick and possibly dying if you don't wear your mask. Hannah, I'm not sure that's scientifically accurate. I know there's been some stories recently that there is like a subset of children who are getting these weird symptoms that the doctors can't quite account for because we don't know everything about the virus yet. But Hannah, let me throw it back to you. What could you do that could make children more likely to wear their masks, or the parents of children more likely to wear masks? Let's see. Sleepy, got a Harry Potter mask. Oh, you could imagine where you could have Harry Potter masks, Twilight masks. For young guys, you could have masks with the logos of not just sports teams, but ones that have a particularly macho appeal, like, Oakland Raiders and stuff like that. Juliana is saying, going after patriotism, the famous Uncle Sam poster. I want you to wear a mask. Yeah, I know exactly the poster you're talking about, Juliana. Yeah. Hannah, I think the cool design idea will really help children want to wear it. Yeah. I had a student yesterday. I never gave you the formal question, did I? Here it is. Channel your inner propagandist. If we can sell cars by making people feel like cowboys or leaders, what psychological arguments could we make so that people will wear masks? Oh, Sleepy, your little brother has a dinosaur mask. Oh, that sounds really good. Andrew, um, you bought I guess 50 of the disposable masks. Would that be right? Yeah, yeah. Okay, we got the patriotism mask. We got the sports logo mask. Hey, how about appeals to fashion? What would I mean? This obviously is not a fashion accessory. How could you how could you make a mask a sort of fashion accessory? What would it need? Anyone got something on that? Well, while we're waiting for our last mask ideas, I'll tell you what you're doing today. Today's media note, today's media note is about how coronavirus is affecting the work of the US Supreme Court. I picked that story because we're getting into media law today. This is not an NPR story. This is a PBS story, public broadcasting system, television. And so watch the PBS story about the Supreme Court and coronavirus. Go over to Canvas and take the little short quiz. And then I want you to listen to the first half of chapter 13. Chapter 13 is media law. I would like you to listen to the first 29 minutes of it, and that is through the slide public figures and libel. So, media law through the slide public figures and libel. All right. Any last parting questions or comments or criticisms before I end the live stream and head on over to Canvas chat? Got any last things here? Andrew's asking whether the career panel is extra credit. Yes, it's extra credit. And it is not a must. Correct. Okay. Any last things? All right, guys. I'm going to end the stream. See you over on Canvas chat.